Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today we're going to do some more small town stuff here in eastern or Piedmont, North Carolina. We are just to the west of Interstate 95, kind of between Lumberton and Laurinburg. We're going to hit some of these small communities, and we're going to start things off here in the town of Pembroke, North Carolina. Before we go to a few other places, we're going to get into some numbers, talk about the history a little bit, just check the town out. This one here, Pembroke, has quite a bit of construction going on. Shocked me a little bit when I drove in the town and I seen the streets look the way they do, but nonetheless, we're still going to talk about the town, show it off a little bit before we head just north of here to another little town called Red Spring. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let's go ahead and get started. And right on cue, anytime I come to a small town, lucky me, I get a little bit of choo-choo train action going on. That was awesome. People traveling the Amtrak. It's pretty wild to be standing right here on a railroad track with no through traffic because it is completely shut down right now to traffic here in Pembroke. And this is the downtown area. I mean, look at all of that construction that's going on. And I just spoke to some locals inside of the local gas station here, and they're not too happy about this. He said this stuff has been like this for since July, and we're here in November, so really feel it for him. I hate it, but he said, I don't know what's taking them so long, but it didn't supposed to be torn up this long, quite this long, but it definitely is, that's for sure. So let's get into a little Pembroke history. So Pembroke was officially established as a town in 1894 and incorporated in 1909. And really cool little thing about Pembroke is Pembroke's story is linked to the Lumbee tribe, which is the largest state recognized Native American tribe east of the Mississippi River, with over 55,000 members to this very day. So speaking of the Lumbee tribe, if you look up here at the water tower, adorned on the side of it is a Native American Indian. That is really awesome. So as we continue to walk down this very defunct downtown area, let's talk about population. There's 2,997 people. That is the census report for the town of Pembroke. And this was really shocking to me. The median age. Are you ready for this? 22 years of age. 22.3 to be exact. This could be one of the youngest towns I think I've ever stepped foot in, that I actually know of. You know, since I've been making these videos and putting that little bit of information in there. It's kind of shocking to see the median age 22. That is very, very young if that's correct. Okay, so now we're going to dive into the demographics of the town here in Pembroke. White is 16.78%. Black is 22.66%. And look at the American Indian here, because of the tribe that lives here in the area, 53.49%. And then mixed race is 5.41%, and other is 0.97. And right here I'm standing in front of a business known Swag City. And I like how they have their little front walkway. They got a little walkway right there where you can make it inside their business. Some of these other businesses, they don't even seem to be open other than the nationwide insurance agent right here. But they do have sidewalks open, it looks like, and whatever used to be here has been long been removed from the downtown area. But earlier we was talking about demographics, and this area has quite the history when it comes to that name, demographics, and different colors of people that live here in the area. Especially back during the Jim Crow segregation, the Lumbee maintained a tri-racial system here in the county. You had white schools, you had black schools, and then you had Indian schools, which is the Lumbee tribe schools. Pretty fascinating. And that leads to a whole nother story that happened in 1958 here in the area. Okay, so a big event happened here. The Battle of Hayes Pond happened in 1958. It was a pivotal moment in Lumbee history. It endured a threat from the Ku Klux Klan, attempted a rally near Maxton, which is not too far from here, and they did it to intimidate the Lumbee community. Now, to combat what the Ku Klux Klan was attempting to do with their intimidation tactics, the Lumbee tribe, hundreds of armed Lumbee men led by certain prominent figures, confronted and routed the Klan in a brief skirmish. The event received national attention and boosted Lumbee pride and visibility to everyone here in the United States. Okay, I've made my way over here to the little shopping center. It's called the Village Center, and they have a Maxway here, which is a real sight for sore eyes for me, because back in Carolina Beach, we used to have a Maxway there, which has been torn down now, like maybe 10 years ago or something. It's been a while. But I remember going to the Maxway and buying items and stuff. I ain't seen one in quite some time. Kind of cool to see that. So earlier, we was talking about median age and how young the median age is here in Pembroke. And I think I know why, because you have the Pembroke State College here, which is now called UNC Pembroke, which was founded in 1887. And so that, with having college here, that would definitely skew your median age number. So I'm glad I found that out real quick and pass that on to you, the viewer. All right, I've kind of made my way across the street. And now we're going to dive into crime here in the area. Pembroke definitely has an issue with crime. Let's look at the numbers. Look at the total crime. Look at that, 8,850 per 100K, which that translates to 8.8 per 1,000. You know, look how much higher it is than North Carolina and national average. That is nuts. That is absolutely crazy. Even the violent crime is quite a bit higher, 917 per 100K, where North Carolina's at 376, national average at 359. All right, so next up, let's talk about income. So income per capita here in Pembroke is $10,781. You can see how much lower that is compared to the North Carolina national averages. And then the median household income is only $21,786. It's not a lot of money, but once again, you have a lot of, you know, college kids here in the area. That probably skews that number a little bit, that is for sure. And then we're going to take a look at the poverty level. That is super high, 44.4%. Look how much higher that is than North Carolina at 16.8% and the national average of 15.1%. That is crazy. I think that is going to pretty much do it for the town of Pembroke. Let's go ahead and move on down the road to our next town. Maybe we'll have a little bit more luck on our next stop. Won't be quite as much, you know, construction and things like that. Not a lot going on in the downtown area. Right as I enter the town of Red Spring, North Carolina, look at this house. That is fantastic. That is so pretty. Very, very pretty. The architecture of that home is amazing. And there is another very large house, some renovations. It's a little bit shocking to see those type of homes here in this area, because you wait till we look at the poverty rate and the income. It's not really matching up too much. All right, welcome to Red Springs, North Carolina. Check out this wall mural right here. This town was actually incorporated in 1889. The town's mineral springs were rich in lithium, iron, and sulfur, which drew health seekers by the 1830s to come to town because they believed the springs had healing properties. And the Red Springs was named after the reddish water flowing from the iron-rich springs themselves. So that is a little backstory on the town of Red Springs and when it was incorporated, how it received its name. So as so many of these little small towns, you normally have a railroad crossing or a railroad that extends through the town. And that was a big part of the history to Red Springs and how it got its start. The Cape Fear and Yadkin Valley Railway arrived in 1884 here, boosting commerce, which led to the incorporation of the town of 1889. Resorts and hotels spring up around the springs. Matter of fact, there was one called the Red Springs Hotel, which burned down in 1925. It was a big draw here to the area. Another fun fact about this area, back in the day, the Red Springs was once called the Saratoga of the South for its spa reputation. So right here I'm standing in front of the local barber shop, Howard's Barber Shop. But right next door to Howard's, this storefront here looks to be abandoned. So let's talk about the population of Red Springs. Quite a few people live in this little small town, 3,291. With a median age of 37, which is very, very normal, 37.7 to be exact. So I think it's safe to say that Howard's Barbershop fared much better than South Main Barbershop because it is completely abandoned and closed now. All right, I gotta say, there is quite a bit of traffic in the town of Red Springs. It really gets going down through here. It was something else just to find time to get across the road where I could show these little businesses right here, which looks like for the most part, at least half of them are open, or at least in business. They're not open today while I'm here, but at least they are open in some way, shape, or form. Now off in the distance, you can see the Red Springs Water Tower. Kind of turn around here, right here at the railroad crossing. Check out some of these old buildings right here. They look very rough and abandoned and withered. I mean, check that out, alleyway out right there. Yeah, that looks like a good place for Michael Myers to just step out behind one of these buildings and start walking towards you. No thanks. So let's talk about demographics. So the demographics here in the area is 29.81% are white, 47.31% are black, 16.32% is American Indian, and then mixed race is 2.83%, and other race is 3.74%. And the next thing up is, let's talk about crime. Crime is going to be possibly shocking, but if you notice the numbers of Pembroke, which we just looked at a few minutes ago, now you're going to see a very similar trend here in Red Springs. So total crime is 5,252 out of 100K. Once again, that is shocking. That is a very, very high number. When you break that down per 1,000, you're talking about 5.2 crimes out of 1,000. Now, why is that kind of shocking? I pulled Detroit up on the screen for you. Look at that number. That's Detroit. That would be 6.0 out of 1,000 people, or the 6,087 out of 100K. Let's go back to Red Springs. You see that? Red Springs, North Carolina has pretty much the same total crime rate as a big city like Detroit. That is unreal. Okay, next up, we're going to look at income. So income per capita is $15,880. The median household income is $24,427. well below North Carolina and the national average on both accounts. And then look at the poverty level here. Once again, we're over 40%, 41.2%. Now I gotta say, we're about to wrap it up here in town, but man, I'm glad I walked around the corner, because feast your eyes on this old building. Doug's Rent a Video, an old video store. This place is awesome. This is so cool. I have so many good memories of video rentals and things like that back in the day, back when video stores was a thing. That's one thing I think the digital age really messed up for this generation. It's like things are so easy to come by now with streaming and stuff. There used to be something to it. Going out on Friday evening after you get out of school, me and a buddy of mine, this is back in the 90s, so this is like Super Nintendo era, Sega Genesis. We would go and rent video games that we didn't have the money to buy all these video games, right? But we could go rent them for like $1 or $1.50. Go get you a movie, have a fun weekend, enjoying your video game, watching a movie. You know, today everybody just streams everything. There is no camaraderie of, hey, come on over, let's do this. Let's go pick us out a video at the video store. All that stuff's gone. Who knows? And there's really no way it can ever make a comeback when you think about it. Physical media is getting to be a thing from the past. But I will say this. Record stores, places with old vinyl, they're making a resurgence. That is for sure. You know, and as much as they keep pushing us for this like digital currency, this don't use dollars and stuff and coins. I know me, myself, I'm using dollars and coins more now than I did 5 years ago, because if you notice, some of the places where you go and use your cards now, credit cards and so on and so forth, they charge you a fee. Always pay attention to that. I don't even when I go and have my car maintained at a dealership in town, I got to be careful, because they charge like a 3% convenience charge on top of that the bank charges them. But if you pay with cash, you know, that fee is dropped. And when you're talking about hundreds of dollars of a maintenance fee, that 3% starts to add up. So I do pay attention that I found myself trying to use cash more often when I'm out in my travels. Just a word of thought, just throwing it out there into the universe. Maybe. I'm not saying videos like this, like video rentals are coming back, but I do think it could be a neat thing. Maybe a spot here and there around where people can experience it and do it. Might be cool. A lot of new cars today don't even have CD players in them. Just recently bought one this past year. Don't even have a CD player. It's got everything else but no CD player. I gotta say, there's some pretty nice homes here in the area to have some of the income issues that we looked at earlier. And right here is another really nice property. Look at that place. It's a nice home. And right here is another really awesome house. What the heck is going on here? That is beautiful. Okay, so I was going to just drive around the town and show you some of these homes, because the information I gave you, the income, the poverty rate does not match up with how this town looks. So I decided just to park and just walk down the sidewalk here and just very quickly show you some of the homes here. I mean, this does not look like a high poverty, low income, below $25,000 town. And the thing is, I can drive down pretty much any street in this town and see some really nice homes. And it just don't make sense. I mean, look at this home right here in front of me. That is beautiful. I mean, there is no way you would think with a town with a low median household income and a high poverty rate, you would see something like that, right? I mean, this don't add up. at all. Okay, yeah, this is wild. I mean, just look at this home right here. It's beautiful. Beautiful homes throughout Red Springs, North Carolina. It's crazy. I mean, look at this one right here too. Look at that old place. That is gorgeous. That is, I mean, it needs a little paint work, but all in all, it's a very, very beautiful structure. You know, it's not falling apart. Be a great investment property for someone. If nobody is living there, I'm not really sure, but that's a very beautiful house. So all that being said, I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for me today. We take a look at a couple of these towns here in North Carolina between Lumberton and Laurinburg. Two small communities. Has some cool Indian heritage here in the area. Has a high poverty rate, high crime rate. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Walking around town, I never felt like unsafe. Maybe all the bad stuff happens after the sun goes down, I don't know. But not a lot of movement, a lot of traffic, but not a lot of people walking the sidewalks. And maybe I shouldn't be, who knows? But this is something else. I have never experienced anything quite like this before. If you would have told me, what do you think the crime rate is for these towns? What do you think the income? I would have said way higher on the income because of stuff like this. And these homes like right here with these big pylons right here out front, gorgeous, beautiful. The landscaping to this property is pretty fantastic. I mean, that really is nice. Yeah, this is a really nice property. Well maintained. I love the palm trees out front. It's just beautiful. That is amazing. That is so pretty. But all that being said, my friends, I'm done today. Thank you so much for watching. This would not be a poverty rate town of over 40. That is for dang sure. Really pretty here. Red Springs, Pembroke. It's a nice little visit. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I enjoyed making it. Till next time, I am the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. Yeah, nice driveway too. Another nice place.